Let's shift our attention to politics. Nigeria stands at a defining moment, one where policy meets people and vision must translate into real impact. At the heart of this conversation is a renewed hope agenda, a framework that promises economic reform, inclusive governance, and a clearer pathway to national development. But the big question remains, what does this agenda truly mean for Nigeria's future, and how will it shape the lives of everyday citizens? To help us unpack this critical issue, I'm joined by Dr. Duke Amawe, Chief Press Secretary and National Spokesperson of the City Boy Movement. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Emana, good evening to you.
Thank you, Olajimoke.
Can you hear me? Good evening to you. All right.
Good evening.
So we'll be examining where we were before this administration came on board. What has changed, the vision and expectations of Nigeria. But first, City Boy Movement, what's this about?
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to start from where you started, and then I'll dovetail into the City Boy Movement and what it's all about. So Nigeria is at a critical turning point. Almost 3 years since the commencement of the first administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his Renewed Hope agenda. Just as you said, the Renewed Hope agenda is about reforming national direction and restoring confidence in governance through creating opportunities for the youth inclusion, economic renewal, and strengthening institutions. Well, we know that the Nigerian population is arguably over 200 million, with about 18 million of that population being youth and under or about 18 years old. So Nigeria's future is youth, it's youthful. So the City Boy Movement is a youth-centric movement that is not a campaign tool, but rather a strategic vehicle for governance and inclusion of the youth in driving an inclusive government or inclusive governance, a society where young people are not just spectators, but have a say. So the vision of the City Boy Movement is through impact awareness, going down to the grassroots, to tell Nigerians that you do not need to sit on the sidelines, or in this day and age, you don't need to be social media warriors, you don't need to be keypad warriors, where you sit down and criticize government, but you can play an active role by, first of all, registering to vote, whether you belong to a political party or not. So it's not about political parties. Yes, it's supporting President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, but it's focused on valid and value-driven governance. So that's what it's about: impact awareness, youth mobilization for the 2027 election. You know, your vote counts. If you see a government that's doing well, join the moving train in the right direction. Don't be sentimental. You know, you hear people saying, oh, this is not working, this is not working. But when we look at the indices, since when the president has come on board, you know, we can see tangible reforms. You know, reform does not always have to be pleasing, but sometimes it's necessary because there has to be stability before we begin to enjoy prosperity. So that's what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government has been about, you know, and the City Boy Movement is there to support his Renewed Hope agenda.
All right. It was important to set the record straight because, you know, some Nigerians see political support groups as attack squads used to aggressively counter critics and opponents rather than engage them. Also, there's a public perception that political support groups are often pathways to appointment or political favors. And, I mean, is that a fair description, Emana, quickly? All right. Before I allow you to answer that question, can you hold on, please? We need to take a break. And when we return, I'll allow you go on with that response. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program. This is Politics Tonight. Tonight we're focused on Renewed Hope agenda and Nigeria's future. And I've been speaking with Dr. Duke Amawe, Chief Press Secretary, National Spokesperson, City Boy Movement. Before we move on with this conversation, let's hear from the Director General of the movement. I'll be right back.
that are gathering together to convince Nigerians against the initiatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we must be able to be on ground to tell them that all those deceits cannot work at this particular moment, because young Nigerians are aware and we are ready to mobilize ourselves and cast our vote for president come 2027. That is why we are inaugurating a bigger structure across Nigeria.
Right? And the mandate to return our president to Aso Rock is a sure mandate for us. We are ready to deliver more. We are ready to make a statement just to say thank you for what you have done for Nigeria. Thank you to what you've done for our people. So we're going back home to ensure that Delta gives a massive support, massive vote, massive cooperation to the presidency and to Nigeria at large.
Out all the youths from every nook and crannies of FCT to come and join the largest movement in sub-Saharan Africa, a movement that is progressive, a movement that takes its roots from very deep principle, a movement that is positive and also result-driven, a movement that is led by our own president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right, then, Director General City Boy Movement, Francis Sugar, speaking there. Emmanuel, can you hear me? Let's move on with this conversation. Before we went on our break, I was asking a very critical question. Some Nigerians see political support groups as attack squads used to counter critics and opponents rather than engage them. Is this a fair assessment?
Okay, so let me start by saying that everyone is entitled to whatever opinion has decided to be an active citizen and not just play. Since we are here, I'll state it clearly. If we see the president is working, it's time we, the young people, to the gallery and we place working. It's time we, the young people, to the gallery and we place sentiment to the gallery and we place sentiments to our detriment, even as citizens. I was a deputy governorship, decided to self-implode, and I say that unapologetically because I'm not the one who originated the problems that caused the implosion within that party. I have every right to choose to identify with a fully functional and vision-driven political party. It's not greener on any side. You just need to choose which side better pushes the vision you have. And I have a vision to see a better Nigeria. I want to join hands with the City Boy Movement, with the All Progressives Congress, with President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, and see that actualized.
All right. Let's talk about the Renewed Hope agenda, which, from the onset, was presented as a break from business as usual governance. How does the president's leadership style reflect in the Renewed Hope agenda? How important is experience in navigating Nigeria's complex political economy?
Okay, could you repeat that question? Because it's kind of echoing, and I could not get it clear.
All right, it's about the Renewed Hope agenda.
So if something can be done to the audio, it's not clear. So I need a little more volume, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I was asking about the Renewed Hope agenda, which is presented as a break from business as usual governance. What fundamentally distinguishes...
So could you explain what you mean by business as usual governance? That's a blanket statement. So could you break it down so that Nigerians who are watching and also listening will understand what that means, please?
All right, because it is not my job to explain to Nigerians, I guess that's why you're here. So when I say business as usual...
You used a word and you need to clarify, business as usual governance.
Okay.
So you are blanketing that statement.
Perhaps you need to...
So what is business as usual?
Perhaps you need to calm down and listen to the entirety of this question. Is that cool?
I am listening, Olajumoke.
Okay.
If
Look,
you would
this is about the Renewed Hope agenda.
Explain your question clearly.
I hope you can hear me, Amana. All right. So I want us to talk about the Renewed Hope agenda, which is presented as a break from business as usual governance. What fundamentally distinguishes it from previous reform agendas in Nigeria? President Tinubu is often described as a strategic leader and institution builder. How does that leadership style reflect in the Renewed Hope agenda? How important his experience in navigating our complex political economy. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what sets the Renewed Hope agenda apart from every other agenda in previous governments? It's one thing to have an agenda. It's another thing to walk the talk. So President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his Renewed Hope agenda is rather straightforward. Economic renewal, strengthening institutions, creating more opportunities for the young people, for inclusion, for women, for everybody, and carrying everybody along. So it trickles down, even to the grassroots. So that when I said it's all about walking the talk, it's about not just stabilizing the economy, but while you're trying to stabilize the economy, you put out structures in place to buffer the crunch or the ache and the bite that the citizenry will feel while government is doing its job to, implement policies. I believe that's simple enough.
I mean, interestingly also, this administration has taken very, very difficult economic decisions that previous governments avoided. From your own perspective, why was it necessary to act decisively at the time? What would have happened if these reforms were delayed?
You see, sometimes, I believe in my opening statement I had said sometimes reform entails stabilization in the process of reform may be painful, but it becomes necessary because delaying on those reforms or taking certain decisions is only extending doomsday. So it's either we take the bitter medicine today or we postpone it for another day and leave it for another government to come. Okay, for instance, when the president came on board, one of the first decisions taken by his administration was a removal of the fuel subsidy. Of course, Nigerians screamed, the pump prices went up, and then a lot of questions around what's being done with the subsidy removals and all whatnot. The thing is, if that decision was not taken, the Nigerian economy will continue to suffer. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's just Judgment Day, delayed. So the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is a forward-thinking administration. It's better we feel the ache today and enjoy the dividends of democracy tomorrow, rather than delay Judgment Day and then the problem still persists.
So if APC were not the ruling party today, would its current performance still convince Nigerians to vote for it? How does APC counter that narrative that things are worse under this government?
Things seem worse under the government because Nigerians have been used to a system where there is no transparency, where the government of the day, they dangle a lifeline. The lifeline that is dangled, it's appeasement, it's temporary appeasement, or is like solving a temporary symptom. But reform is about resolving structural decay. So if the APC, you said if the APC was not in government today, would it still think the government is doing well? Is that what you had asked earlier,
yes.
Jumoke?
Yes.
I believe the question answers itself. As I said,
but how do you respond to some Nigerians who say the challenge of the APC is weak messaging rather than weak governance? Do you agree that the challenge is communication?
I would not say the challenge is weak messaging. I'd say it's perception-based. I also buy from the same market every other person buys from. The prices have gone up. The thing is that government acknowledges the pressure on Nigerian households. Inflations in recent times have been hovering between 20 to 30%. Food inflation has been the highest. The costs of living has greatly increased. So government is not unaware of these challenges. That's why I said There are palliative measures, access to loans and grants to SMEs. Even the tax reforms is to create ease of doing an easier environment for businesses to survive and thrive. So the government is not unaware of the pressures. But the thing is, if we keep delaying dealing with the nitty-gritty issues at this time, those knotty issues at this time, because we want to be celebrated, we want Nigerians to, we want to clap for government because they're dangling a lifeline. At the end of the day, we are only mortgaging our future. So the president is interested in futuristic governance, futuristic government, leaving behind a Nigeria that our children, his children, the future of Nigeria, will be proud of, and not that we sell our country because we want to eat today. So we are not dying of hunger today, but we need to suffer the crunch temporarily. And sometimes when you're doing something right, except you're selling ice cream, everybody cannot clap for you. If you're doing something right, most of the times, you'll find out that not everybody can definitely not agree with you. But if we want to be objective and look at the numbers critically, we'll find out that the president is actually moving in the right direction. He has the right men at the helm of affairs getting the job done. Are they doing the job? Yes. If statistics and the data show that the Nigerian economy is at an uptick, the sentiment on the streets, though valid because of hunger, cannot outrightly negate the fact that he's doing something right.
All right. Let's talk about a Nigerian youth, a population that is growing rapidly. I mean, you represent a party that places strong emphasis on youth inclusion. Would you say this government has done enough for the youths?
Well, there is never anything like enough. And I am sure there's no government that would come out and tell you boldly, that they've done too much or enough. Because the more you do, the more the expectations. In fact, the more given, the more expected of you. So the government is government in progress. The Nigerian story is not finished. The story of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is actually just starting. And there's always room to carry the youth more along as the days go by. That's where support groups or organizations, I don't want to just call it a simple support group, though that's what it is, organizations like the City Boy movement come in, where the president cannot go himself to identify the gray areas. There are people strategically positioned at every cadre of society, from the state, from the national, subnationals, the local governments, up to the polling unit levels, to ensure involvement of the youth population.
All right. Let's stay on that, Emana. Still talking about Nigerian youths. I mean, young Nigerians are increasingly disengaged or looking to leave the country. What does APC say to a generation that feels abandoned? I mean, why should a young graduate believe APC policies will work for them before 2027?
Thank you. So some of the challenges we face as a nation are not challenges that emanated with the advent of President Tinubu's government. They are long-standing challenges. So when we talk about the Japa syndrome, as we call it, where we have a high number of our young people migrating to other countries, seeking greener pastures. It didn't start today. It stems from disillusionment, thinking when I go elsewhere, I'm going to have it easier. Sometimes it's not always easier. We've also had people in the Yoruba parlance, I'm going to say it in English, they call it Jakpada syndrome. So you migrate out, and then we still have others coming back because the grass is never greener on the other side. Government is a continuum. It's work in progress. President Tinubu is not the father or the foundation of some of the challenges the systemic challenges that we're experiencing in Nigeria. If work is being done to accommodate the youth, to carry the youth more along, and to ensure that our economy improves, there's tangible economic improvement, I believe that we should give the government a chance. Give the government a bit of time to consolidate on what it's already started doing. Don't forget, the challenges didn't start today. It's systemic decay, and it's not going to go away overnight. Are we moving towards tangible progress? Yes. If we are, all we need to do is be a little bit patient. No matter how we complain, what has to be done has to be done.
All right. I mean, I understand when you say Nigerians should give this administration a chance, but last 2027 is almost here, and you have former allies of Mr. President who belong to ADCs consistently saying they are ready to unseat him. What role do you think party loyalists and grassroots members play in defending this government?
So I've tried hard to stick to governance talk and national development, but you want me to go into party politics. So I'll tell you that
this is politics tonight.
A marriage of strange bed, yes, that's fine. I said party politics, so let me delve there. A marriage of strange bedfellows is dead on arrival. The same people who actively criticize President Tinubu and his reform work, some of them are just disenchanted former members of the All Progressives Congress. Sometimes, you know, when a spoiled child, wants lollipop and doesn't get lollipop, the child begins to cry foul. So some of these people are people who have actually been beneficiaries. Some of them got, whatever benefits they've gotten from government or from politics on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. And then when things don't go their way or things go awry, they begin to cry wolf. The All Progressives Congress is not child's play. Like I said, I talked about the City Boy movement, saying it's serious business. The All Progressives Congress is not child's play. Well, it's politics. We are not leaving stones unturned. We are not letting our guards down. But I can tell you that for those who want to unseat the president, they need to come with their belts fastened tight properly. Because what different thing are they coming to offer? It's not about promises. Just like you said, other administrations have made so many promises. It's not about making promises. But when you look at the track record of these people, assess them carefully, analyze them critically, delve into their doings in the previous years and even up to the present. Sometimes there are a lot of questions that beg our belief. There are a lot of questions left unanswered. They also have questions to answer. So Nigerians should not be sentimental and say, oh, I don't like this person. I don't want APC. I don't want Tinubu anymore. And then you jump from frying pan to fire. Because you look carefully at those people. What are the antecedents? Why did they leave the APC? Or why are they disenchanted? Sometimes it's all personal ambition, selfish ambition. It's not the interest of Nigeria. I can assure you that the president has the interest of Nigerians at heart. And he's working in the direction to make sure we have a Nigeria that we can all be proud of.
All right. So before I let you go tonight, I want to pick just one of the many policies this administration has initiated, and that's about NEL Fund. For those Nigerians, especially students who remain unaware of this student loan program or how to go about it, in your view, is this a low awareness due to poor publicity, ineffective communication, or are there other structural challenges?
So definitely in any organization, just as the country and the government is an organization, sometimes there are institutional bottlenecks. But I can assure you that the government listens actively to feedback. And outside the fact that you've posited the question tonight, you know, there have been feelers here and there, you know, especially maybe in the social media space where the young people actively engage. Oh, you know, what's happening? Is it a loan? Is it a grant? How do we access all of this? I can assure you that there's work ongoing to ensure more publicity and ease of access to students for these facilities.
All right. So on behalf of the City Boy movement, what message do you have for Nigerians tonight? What final message do you have for Nigerians tonight?
So I'd like to say that the All Progressives Congress e-registration exercise is currently ongoing. Register, become a member of a working party where the youth matter. Your voice will be heard and your vote will count. Don't play sentiments with your future. Join a future where work is ongoing to secure the future of the youth. Thank you.
All right then, Emanadu Cambros Amawe, Chief Press Secretary and National Spokesperson, City Boy Movement. Thank you so much for your time. Please have a great evening. Good night.
Good evening.
And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X, and TVC News NG, and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.